Hey, I'm Jem. I help business owners generate consistent leads, and for some of my clients, I even supply the leads directly so they can focus purely on closing and delivery. Now, let's be honest for a second. Most people don't have a bad offer, they just have bad timing, and they're reaching out when their buyers are distracted, busy, or simply not ready to make a move. And then they wonder why no one's replying, or worse, why people ghost them after showing interest. The truth is, selling is as much as timing as it is about technique. Even the best offer won't land if you do it at the wrong time. So timing is just as important as your sales techniques. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly when and how to sell so your timing perfectly lines up with your buyer's actual buying cycle. Here's what we're going to be covering step by step. The buyer timing ladder. Understanding where your prospect is mentally before you pitch, seasonal and market patterns, knowing the best periods to sell and when to hold back, weekly and daily timing, the best days and hours to reach decision makers, trigger events, the specific moments when people are most likely to buy, nurture systems, what to do while they're not ready yet, and finally, the perfect moment to close so you stop chasing uninterested people and start converting ready buyers. By the way, if you want help generating leads or even want me to supply qualified leads directly to your business, you can check out the links below. I've got both done for you and done with your operations depending on where you're at. All right, let's jump into it. Let's start with the foundation, understanding your buyer's timing, because here's the thing. Once you truly get this part right, everything else starts clicking. Your message hits harder, your response rates go up, and you stop wasting time trying to convince people who were never ready in the first place. Well, let's break it down with something I call the buyer timing ladder. Think of every potential buyer as being on a ladder, and that ladder has 4 steps. Each step represents where they are mentally in their buying journey. Now, here's the mistake most people make. They start selling at the wrong step. They pit someone who's not even aware they have a problem yet, and they wonder why no one bites. Let's fix that. Here are 4 steps. Here's what the 4 steps here look like. Step 1, not looking. This person has no idea they need your product or service. They're living their life, not even thinking about it. At this stage, your goal is not to sell, it's to plant seeds. You're building awareness, sparking curiosity, or introducing a new idea. For example, instead of saying book a demo now, you might share something like most business owners don't realize they're losing 30% of their inquiries because of slow follow up. That gets attention, it opens a loop. You're not pitching here, you're just educating. Step 2, problem aware. Now this person knows something's wrong, but they're not doing anything about it yet. For example, a business owner knows their website isn't converting, but they're too busy to fix it. They've identified the problem, but not the urgency. So your job here is to magnify the cost of inaction. You show them what it's costing them to stay stuck. You might say, if your website converts just 1% better, that could mean 10 extra clients a month. What's that worth to you? You're not shaming them, you're simply holding up a mirror to what they're losing by waiting. Step 3, solution exploring. Now we're getting warm. This person is actively researching, comparing options, reading reviews, maybe even talking to a few providers. At this point, your job shifts. You're no longer just creating awareness, you're positioning yourself as the trusted advisor. Because in their mind, they're going, who do I trust the most to help me solve this? So instead of pitching features, you show results, processes, and transparency. You give value up front, you build authority. Remember, when they're exploring options, the person who educates them the most often wins the deal. Step 4, buying now. This is where they've decided, okay, I need to fix this. They're ready to take action. Your job here is simple. Make it easy to say yes. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't repitch. Just guide them to the next step. At this stage, clarity and confidence close the deal faster than persuasion could. Now, if you're pitching to someone in step 1 or 2, it's not that your offer is bad, it's just too early. You're speaking to someone who's not mentally ready yet, and that's where most salespeople burn out. They confuse bad lead with bad timing. Here's how to fix that. You don't change your offer, you change your message to fit their stage. Let me give you a quick example of what this looks like. Step 1, share educational curiosity-based content, something that plants a new idea. Step 2, use results or pain-based stories that make the problem feel urgent. Step 3, drop social proof, comparisons, or testimonials. Help them choose you confidently. Step 4, Go for a direct call to action, something clear and easy to follow. When your message matches their mindset, everything flows smoother. You stop chasing and start attracting. All right, now we've covered the mental side where your buyer is in the journey. Let's zoom out a bit now because timing isn't about psychology, it's also about seasonality and timing in the market. There are specific times of the year, month, and even week when decision makers are simply more open to buying, and other times when no amount of persuasion will ever work. So, next, let's talk about seasonal and market patterns and how to use them to your advantage. Here's the truth: every market, every industry has its own natural rhythm. Peaks when people are in buy mode, and valleys when they're just not. And you can have the best pitch, the perfect follow up, and even an irresistible offer. But if you hit your audience at the wrong time, it's like trying to sell umbrellas in the summer or ice cream during a blizzard. You're working hard, but the timing's off. So instead of fighting the current, you need to move with the market's flow. Let's break down a few examples so you can see what I mean. Corporate and B2B markets. If you're selling to other businesses, tools, software, consulting services, this is huge. Most companies plan their budgets at the start or middle of the year. That's when they're open to exploring new vendors, new systems, and new opportunities. So if you're prospecting in January or July, you're catching people when they're actively planning. On the other hand, near the end of each quarter, something interesting happens. Decision makers start rushing to use up remaining budgets. You've probably heard the phrase use it or love it. That's exactly use it or lose it. There we go. Not love it because they won't love losing it, obviously. So they gotta use it or lose it. That's exactly what happens. And that's your window to close deals faster. If you time it right, you notice decisions that normally take weeks suddenly happen in days because they already have the money. They just need somewhere to allocate it before it expires. So for B2B, the start, middle, and end of the year are your green zones. These are times when you want to be out there hard, pitching, following up, and closing. Now, if you're in the education and training space, whether it's online courses, certifications, or coaching, your market follows the academic rhythm. Demand spikes before new school terms or certification seasons. Think January, New Year, new goals. June to August, summer prep, and September, school restarts. During those moments, everyone's in a self improvement or growth mindset. They're searching, enrolling, and investing. But if you try to sell heavy training programs during the December holidays, good luck. People's minds are on vacations, not courses. So again, it's not about effort. It's about timing your offer when people are mentally ready to act. So this is very important for e-commerce here. This is all about anticipation. Sales naturally spike before holidays and major sale events, not during the chaos itself. For example, everyone scrambles for Black Friday or Christmas campaigns. But here's the trick: the people who actually win in those seasons are the ones who start warming up buyers weeks before. By the time the sale drops, their audience is already pre sold. And you can see this from current data as well. This Black Friday was big for a lot of e commerce brands, and this is exactly what they did. So if you're in e-commerce, start planting your seeds early. Showcase what's coming, run teaser campaigns, build your email list. So when the buying window opens, your audience is ready to buy, not just scroll. Home, lifestyle, and service industries. For home related or lifestyle services, things like renovations, cleaning, landscaping, moving, events, even personal services, your timing evolves around seasons and life events. When the weather shifts, people act. When they move houses, they act. When holidays approach, they act. So a smart strategy here is to align your messaging with what's happening in your customer's life. Example: promote deep cleaning services in spring. Push renovation packages right before summer. Offer moving or home or organization deals around the start of the school year. When your marketing reflects what's naturally happening in people's lives, it doesn't feel like selling. It feels like good timing or a service people need. Putting it all together here now, okay? You now, the way to make all this practical is by creating what I call a 12-month timing map. Here's how it works. You map out the entire year and mark three color zones, green zones, your active buying periods. These are times when your audience is most open and budgets are available. Yellow zones, your warm up months. These are times to build awareness, nurture leads, and prep for your push. Red zones, your slow seasons. These are times when people are distracted, out of office, or simply not in buying mode. When you know these zones, everything gets easier. You're not forcing sales in dry months. You're planning around demand. Your content, your offers, and your outreach all flow with your market's natural rhythm. That's when selling starts to feel smooth, almost effortless. Because remember, timing isn't luck, it's strategy. Okay. So now that we covered the big picture, understanding your buyer's psychological timing and the seasonal or market cycles that influence when they buy. But here's the thing, even inside those green zones, timing still matters on a smaller scale. Because sometimes it's not about which month you reach out to, it's about which day or even what time of the day. So next, let's zoom in and talk about weekly and daily micro timing, the exact days and hours that can make or break your sales results. There's actually a rhythm to how people behave throughout the week, and understanding that rhythm can be the difference between hearing crickets and hearing let's book a call. Let's start with the best days to sell follow up. Here's a pattern that's been proven across industries from B2B and SaaS to service based businesses and agencies. Midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is your golden window always. Why? Because on Mondays, people are buried in catch up mode. Their inbox is overflowing, meetings are stacked, and mentally they're just trying to get their week in order. If you send a pitch or follow up, then it's likely to get lost under a pile of internal emails and to-do lists. Fridays, on the other hand, everyone's on wrap-up mode. They're thinking about the weekend, trying to clear their desks, and mentally checking out by lunchtime. You might still get replies, but usually they'll sound like, let's circle back next week. But Tuesday through Thursday, that's the sweet spot. People are in work mode, they found their flow, they're open to conversations that actually help them perform better or make progress. So if you're booking calls, following up, or running outbound campaigns, make those your heavy action days. Now let's talk about the best hours to reach decision makers. Because even within those good days, there are windows that perform way better than others. Here's how it usually plays out. Early mornings, 8 to 9 a.m., right before the chaos hits. It's a good time. People are checking their inbox, reviewing their schedule, sipping their coffee. They're mentally fresh, and it's one of the few times they're not buried in meetings yet. Late afternoons, 4 to 6 p.m. This is when the day starts to slow down. Decision makers are catching up on emails, finishing tasks, and reviewing what they didn't get to earlier. They're also in a more reflective mindset, which means if your message hits the right note, it can grab attention. Now, here's what you want to avoid, the dead zone. That's the middle of the day, especially between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. That's when people are in meetings, running errands, or grabbing lunch. Your emails might get buried, your calls might go unanswered, and your message might get seen but never replied to. So instead of working harder, just time your outreach smarter. Here's how you can apply this practically. If you're sending emails, schedule them around 8 to 9 a.m. or 4 to 6 p.m. local time for your target audience. That's when open and reply rates tend to spike. If you're calling or following up, just try before lunch around 11 a.m. or right after lunch around 1:30 to 2 p.m. That's when people are usually back at their desk, checking messages and a bit more relaxed after they obviously had some food and another coffee maybe. And if you're doing social outreach like LinkedIn, your best bet is often early morning before people dive into work or early evening, right after work hours when they're scrolling again. These tiny shifts, just a few hours here and there, can literally double your response rate without changing a single word of your message. Because remember, sometimes it's not your offer, not your script, not even your tone, it's just bad timing. You might be knocking on the right door just at the wrong moment. So by aligning your outreach with the rhythm of the week, you put yourself in the best possible position to be seen, heard, and replied to. All right, so we've got the rhythm of the week down now. Now let's go one level deeper because there's something even more powerful than perfect timing on a calendar. So when something happens in your prospect's world, that instantly makes them more open to buying. I'm talking about those specific trigger moments that flip a switch for maybe later to tell me more. Now, what's a trigger event? It's any external or internal change that makes your offer suddenly urgent, relevant, and hard to ignore. It's that moment when something shifts and what you're offering now feels perfectly timed. Because here's the truth, people don't buy because you send a message, they buy because something just happened and made your solution matter right now. Let's walk through a few examples of what those trigger events might look like and how you can take advantage of them without sounding pushy. Number one, new leadership or new hires. This is one of the biggest and most overlooked opportunities in B2B. Whenever a company brings in a new manager, director, or department head, there's a small window right there where that person is eager to make some quick improvements. They might want to make an impact and they might want to show results quick. And they're usually open to new ideas because they're not attached to the old ways yet. So if you see a LinkedIn update like John Smith has joined as the new head of marketing, don't scroll past it. That's your moment. Reach out with something like, "Hey John, congrats on the new role. I noticed you just joined the team. Thought I'd share something that could help you hit quick wins in your first few months." See what that does? Not a cold pitch. It's a helpful, relevant message right at the moment when they're looking for wins. That's how you turn timing into an advantage. Number two, expansion or funding announcements. Another big one, growth moments. When a company just raised funding, opened a new location, or announced a partnership, that's not just good news for them, that's your green light to reach out to. Why? Because when a business expands, they need systems, tools, and leads fast. They're hiring, scaling, and trying to move faster than ever before. They suddenly have new challenges and budgets to solve them. So if your offer helps companies grow smoother, onboard easier, or generate leads faster, this is your moment. Instead of saying, "Hey, we do X, want to chat," you could say, "Congrats on the expansion." When companies scale that quickly, lead flow and operations can get hectic. I've helped other teams manage that growth seamlessly. Want me to share how we did it? Boom. That's not cold outreach. That's timely outreach. And timing always wins over volume. That's why you got to do your research as well for the companies you're messaging. Number three, regulatory or policy changes. Here's another powerful one, and it's especially useful if you're in a professional service, finance, HR, or compliance related space. When new rules or policies come out that affect your industry, your audience starts scrambling for answers. They're suddenly searching for solutions right now. Example, a new tax law rolls out, a data privacy update is announced, or new advertising restrictions hit your market. That's your window to position yourself as a problem solver in real time. You might say, "Hey, not sure if you saw the new policy that came out, but it could affect how your business does X. Here's a quick breakdown and a simple fix we've been helping clients implement." You're not selling, you're leading there. And when you show up during a moment of change, people remember you as a person who brought clarity. Number four, seasonal or local shifts. Sometimes timing isn't about big corporate changes. It's about what's happening around your audience. For example, if you're a service business, local weather or seasonal patterns can open doors faster than any script. A heat wave coming, great time to promote air conditioning maintenance. Rainy season, perfect for home waterproofing or cleaning services. Local festival or event coming up, excellent for event vendors or local marketing services. It's all about context. When your outreach feels timely and relevant to what's happening right now, it doesn't feel like a pitch, it feels like help. And help always sells better than hype. The key takeaway, timing, intelligence. Here's the big reason in all of this. Don't just chase random people and blast cold messages, hoping something sticks. Never do this stuff. Instead, use timing intelligence. Set up alerts on LinkedIn, follow funding news, join industry newsletters, and pay attention to market signals if you want to get really good at this stuff. When something relevant happens, that's when you reach out. Because outreach sent at the perfect moment isn't cold, it's timed and it's contextual and it's relevant. That's the difference between being ignored and being noticed. Now, all this sounds great, but let's be real for a second. Even with perfect timing, not everyone will be ready to buy right away. And that's where most people lose leads. So in the next part, let's fix that as well. I have a simple nurture plan for you, which is like this. I'm going to go through it really quickly. Day one, start with gratitude and value. Day four, show proof. Day seven, educate. I'm going to go through the whole thing. All right. Most leads don't buy right away. And that's completely normal. It doesn't mean they're not interested. It doesn't mean your offer is bad. It simply means they're not ready yet. And this is where most business owners mess up. They either give up too early after one or two follow ups and they go the opposite way, spamming every few days, hoping persistence will win the sale. Both are mistakes because selling isn't about chasing, it's about staying present quietly, consistently, and naturally. That's what I call the quiet nurture system. It's not aggressive, it's not in your face, it's simply about staying top of mind. So when timing does line up, you're the first name they think of. Let me show you exactly how to do it step by step. Here's the simple 30-day nurture flow you can follow. There's a proven rhythm that helps you stay connected without feeling repetitive or salesy. You're not bombarding them. You're building trust through value, proof, and consistency. Like I said, day one, start with gratitude. Here's an example you can use there. Day four, show proof. This is another example you can use there. If there's context, share a success story. And then we have day 7, position yourself as a trusted advisor, reframe, etc., etc. These all build authority and keep you in their inbox, but in a helpful way. Now we're going to go to day 14, which is the micro commitment ask. Now you provided some value and proof. Now it's time to, ask for something low pressure, small things and a question. Now day 24, 21, you reconnect with a new angle. If they haven't replied yet, obviously it's no problem. You just want to people get busy, so you just want to send something with a new touch, new angle, etc., etc. And then day 30, which is the confident offer. By the time by now you've shown your valuable trust, shared proof, and stayed consistent. Now it's time to be direct, not pushy, but clear. You tell them like, we've helped a lot of businesses like you get results. I'd love to show you exactly how it works. Want me to walk you through it? This is your final gentle nudge, and you'd be surprised how many people finally reply here with, yeah, let's talk. Why does this system work? Because it's structured but human. You're not guessing when to follow up. You're following a rhythm. You're giving before asking. You're reminding without nagging, and you're showing consistency, which in the buyer's mind equals reliability. So when the timing is right, when they finally feel that internal, now is the time moment, you're already the familiar name in their inbox. That's how you win the long game. You're not chasing leads, you're nurturing relationships, and that's what separates separate sellers from professional closers. So now you learn how to stay top of mind, how to keep leads warm, and how to nurture without annoying people. But there's one final piece of the puzzle. When do you actually close? So in the next section, let's break down the close timing playbook, the science of when to make your move, and how to do it so it feels natural, not forced. This is the big one, okay? Everything we talked about so far leads to this moment, which is the close and sale. Because once you understood the buyer's mindset, timed your outreach perfectly, and nurtured your relationships in the right way, there comes a point where you need to ask for the close. But here's the golden rule: never close when you want to, close when they're ready to. That's the difference between feeling salesy and feeling aligned. See, a lot of people push too soon. They get excited, they sense interest, and they rush in with, so when can we start? And that's where deals stall, because it's not that the buyer doesn't want to move, it's that they're not there yet. The best closers don't chase, they wait for the signs. They close when the timing is right, when the buyer has already mentally crossed that bridge. So, how do you know when that moment has come? There are 3 clear signs you should look for. Sign 1, they've acknowledged the problem as urgent. This is the biggest one. When someone goes from saying, yeah, it's an issue, to saying, we really need to fix this soon, that's your cue. They've moved from awareness to urgency. And urgency is the difference between a maybe later and a let's do it. Listen carefully to the language they use, both in calls and messages. When they start expressing frustration or saying things like, we've been putting this off for too long, or we need to get this sorted by next month, they're ready for a solution, and you just happen to have one. That's your moment to guide, not pushed. Sign 2, they've hinted at a time frame or upcoming plan. Sometimes it's subtle, but if you're paying attention, it's clear. They might say things like, we're planning a relaunch next quarter, or we're updating our system soon, or we're hiring a few new people next month. These are buying windows, natural milestones where action happens. If your offer fits into that timeline, for example, helping them prepare, streamline, and get ready for that change, that's your perfect entry point. You're not interrupting them, you're aligning what's already happening in their world. That's why it feels natural, not forced. Sign 3, they've engaged multiple times. This one's simple but powerful. If someone opened your emails multiple times, clicked your links, watched your videos, replied to your messages, or joined a discovery call, it's a clear signal. They're not just interested, they're invested. They put time and attention into what you're saying, which means you've earned permission to move things forward. At that point, you don't need to convince them. You just need to make the next step easy. All right, so what do you do once you get those signals? That's your green light. The buy is ready. You just need a little clarity to move forward confidently. Here's how you make it as smooth as possible. Offer 2 time slots. Simplify the next step. Okay. And the last one, make it feel like collaboration. This is really important because we want to remove pressure and make it feel like a collaboration. When the signs are there, when the buyer is ready, and when your approach feels effortless, that's when closing becomes natural. And that's when sales stop feeling like a grind and start feeling like a rhythm. All right, let's wrap this up and bring everything together. You just learned how to master timing, not just in sales, but in how you communicate and how you follow up, and how you convert interest into actual clients. So let's do a quick recap. I don't want to bore you guys too much with all this detail. All right. Understand the buyer timing ladder. Stop pitching too early. Meet people where they are in their buying journey. Know your seasonal and market rhythms. Sell when your market is buying. Use weekly and daily timing to your advantage. Contact people when they're actually listening and not distracted. Jump on trigger events. The moment when interest spikes naturally, do your research, stay on top of your game, and take advantage of these events. Keep your nurture system running in the background. Stay top of mind even when they're not ready yet. Finally, close only when the signals align. Not when you want to sell, but when they're ready to buy. When you do that, your outreach won't just get more replies, it'll turn into real conversations, real trust, and real paying clients. And hey, if you want help generating leads, or if you want me to supply qualified leads directly for your niche so you can skip the guessing and focus on closing, check the links in the description. I'll show you exactly how we can build a predictable, consistent lead system for your business. If you got value from this video, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more videos like this every week. I'm Jem. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.